Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while since I've done any work down here in the shop. You know, life's gotten in the way, work has been busy, family has been, well, family, you all know how that goes. So I thought I'd take a few minutes and come down to the workshop tonight and get started on a new project. This project is going to be the repop of the AMT Kenworth K-123 Cabover. This is the one that was released a couple of years ago by the cool cats out at Round2Models. This is something that I don't typically build. I normally build vehicles, don't normally build big trucks, so this will be a little interesting bit of an experience for me. Let's take a look at the box real quick and see what we're getting ourselves into. You can see on the side, this particular kit has over 300 detailed parts in it. That's a lot of parts for this kit. It's going to be a challenge, I'm sure, to get it all together. Not to mention the fact that, well, it's an AMT kit and it's kind of old. So hopefully I don't have a whole lot of fitment issues with this particular kit. You can see on this side a little more detail of the chassis and the engine. You can see a picture of the air ride seat there that this comes with. And if we look at the back, we can see the parts overview on the back of the kit here. You can see all of the parts that are involved in this kit. Like we said, there's over 300 parts on this. So we'll see how this goes together. Let's go ahead and open up the box and see what's in the box. So as you can see, the guys at Round2 did another real good job with packaging up the kit. We've got a separate bag here for all of the tires for the truck. You can see these are nice soft rubber tires. They've got some sidewall and some tread trim on them, so they look pretty nice. We've got some colored parts, some red and yellow parts, as well as axles and some wiring or hoses, I guess, to put this together. So that's a nice number of parts to go in there. We've got the clear parts for the windshield and the windows of the cab itself. Speaking of which, here's the cab. We'll take a closer look at this when we open it up, but just looking at it through the plastic, it looks pretty nice. Chrome pieces here, including the wheels, the exhaust stacks, and the rims, as well as some chrome pieces, it looks like probably for the cab as well. Again, nice chrome on these. Of course, it's all new, so it should come as no surprise that this chrome is pretty well done. A separate chrome sprue here. This one has the bumpers there, as well as some of the cab trim and the radiator. And then we have a big piece. These are all like a creamy white plastic, I guess is the best way to describe this. It looks like, yeah, it looks like it's in pretty good shape. The pieces are nice and big. They're bigger than I thought they would be, so that's good. And then we have another piece of those creamy white parts. A lot of these obviously are going to get primed and painted. We have a really nice Kenworth sticker here, which I guess is going to go up on the wall somewhere. And then we have the decals. We'll take a look at those when we open them up. And we have what appears to be a pretty big instruction book that we'll take another closer look at. So we'll take a closer look at some of the parts that we have to deal with here. Here we've got the cab. Again, this is the sleeper cab. You can see it's got nice deep engraving around the doors and the openings. You can see the rivets. See if I can go in there. There you go. You can see the rivets on there as well. Those look awfully nice, as does the plastic as a whole. I don't really see any ejection pin marks. I don't really see any dimples or anything that's going to need to be cleaned up. So maybe just a little bit of sanding, a little bit of basic cleanup, and that'll be pretty good. Here is the interior tub. Again, this is a tub piece. The parts will build up onto this to build the interior. Again, the interior looks like it has a little bit of texture to it, which is kind of nice. There's some texture on the carpet, as well as on the door trim, if you can see that. So I'm not going to open up all of the pieces in the kit, all of the different bags and the sprues, but I did open this one because I am going to be building the chassis first in this particular kit, so I would be digging into this anyway. We've got the two sides of the engine block here, all of the parts for the chassis as well on this sprue. This looks like it's got some exhaust pipes on here, as well as parts for the interior, so we'll put that over here. And then here we go with the frames for the chassis itself, as well as the differentials and the springs, and some non-plated wheels came in there as well. See here, it's got the mud flaps as well on here. So I'm going to be putting this together first so that we can build up the chassis. From the pictures that I've seen online, the chassis is all painted the same color as the truck. In this case, this truck is going to be a combination of gray and green. I did want to take a second and show the decal sheet. Again, this is a new kit. I guess these are new decals from when this was originally released. It's the Interstate Motor Freight System livery, and you can see it's got all of the vehicle identification placards, the decals for the company, and so on. So looks like a really nice decal sheet. Not sure if I'm going to be using these or if I'm going to be doing this as an owner-operator type of a kit. Here's a really cool surprise that I didn't expect. I thought this was just a piece of cardboard. I saw it laying in the box like this, but I flipped it over and it's actually a scale box of this kit. I don't know if this is actually to scale or not, but you can go ahead and cut this out and make a little model of the box of this kit that you can keep with the truck. So like I said, I'm going to start this kit by building the engine and the chassis up, and then I'm going to get that all painted. So let me go ahead and start throwing some of this plastic together, and I'll be back when I've got something fun to show. And here we are with the nearly completed chassis. You can see I've done this in the red with the tan engine color. As I understand, these engines are assembled and then painted as a unit, and the same goes with the frame. A couple of points of emphasis, if you will, for this particular kit that I found to be exceptionally frustrating. For one thing, the instruction guide calls out numbers for individual parts, but the parts on the sprues are not numbered. So there is a little bit of guessing that goes on when trying to figure out which parts are which. I suppose someone who's more used to building these kinds of vehicles wouldn't have those same problems. But as a newbie for bigger trucks, some of the parts went strictly for guessing. One thing I do want to point out also, some of the diagrams are less than clear on how things attach. So I want to point out the steering box right here. You can kind of see that's red. This is how it attaches. It actually looks like it attaches 45 degrees to the left. In fact, it appears to go this way. I did misplace this upper radiator hose. I actually didn't misplace it. It is a chrome piece. I didn't realize it was chrome, and I didn't see it until after the fact. So I made up my own upper radiator hose. I painted the fifth wheel with a gloss black, which I thought was going to look really nice and pop. And then I want to show these mud flaps here on the back. These I also painted with a gloss black enamel, and then I just wiped the paint with a paper towel off of the raised lettering, and I really like the way this showed up. It looks like there's a few little touch-ups that I have to do. I think that's really just the lighting, but you can really see the Kenworth logo and the caution call-outs at the bottom. They look really nice. Still got a few odds and ends here and there to put on, but overall I think it's turned out well so far. Another thing that I want to point out, the back wheels didn't have any really positive sort of locating pins on them. So they just sort of sat there and nothing seemed to connect to anything else on this. And I don't know if that was user error or if I missed a part. I looked over those instruction guides several times. So I actually wound up, you can't really tell, I wound up gluing the tires together. I just glued one tire to the next. I know there's a gap in between them in real life. You know what? It's a model. If you try to drive this down the road, put some gas in it or diesel in it, it's going to melt. So if the tires are glued together, then so be it. So anyway, so you can get a little closer up picture of some of the engine detail. Again, got a little more work to do on here, a little cleanup here and there. It does look like that radiator is leaning a little bit forward. That may be a trick of the video, I'm not sure. But it's been a challenge so far. So that's the chassis. I think next up, in addition to some of the details on the chassis, I'm going to start working on the interior. I do need to send one more complaint out, and that has to do with these chrome fuel tanks. You can see the huge, disgusting mold or connection seam between the two. You can see on the edges there where the sprue connected, and I cut them off and the chrome just completely flaked off. So not quite sure what I'm going to do with these yet. I may strip them entirely and try to re-chrome them with some all-clad before I put them on. I tried a number of different things to kind of touch up right there. You can see that was a Molotov pen. That didn't even come close to looking like chrome. So again, not sure if that's user error or not, but I think if I manage to strip the chrome off of these, I can sand that seam down pretty nicely and re-chrome them and have it look nice. Because the problem is going to be, if you look at it forward, you won't see the seam, but if you look at it from the top, bam, huge seam. So got to do something about that. Anyway, I've been using the Vallejo Model Airs exclusively on this kit so far. Used the red, obviously, for the frame. I used a sand stone color for the engine, and I'm going to use a mix of other colors on the interior and the other parts. So more to come on that. Stay tuned for the next update. Thanks, bye. And here we are back with the finished kit. We'll take a quick look at this. We'll run through it real quick, and I'll point out some things to you that I'm not exactly thrilled with. You can see, for starters, the cab doesn't fit properly onto the chassis, and I don't know whether that's user error or if that is the design of the kit. I should say an error in the design of the kit. Nonetheless, you can see the engine turned out pretty nice. The underside of the cab I probably should have painted black, but I was starting to get frustrated at that point. You can see the battery compartment as well as the fuel tanks that I tried to re-chrome with all-clad, but that didn't turn out so great. Again, you can see what I've shown in previous videos in terms of the chassis. Again, this was painted with the Model Air red to simulate kind of a flat red color, and the cab was painted with that same Model Air red along with a gray and a white to give it that tricolor look. You can kind of see inside of the cab a little bit. I still didn't fix this piece here that broke at some point during the construction, but that's okay. So yeah, so basically, all in all, this was an incredibly difficult kit to build. One of the things that made it so difficult was the fact that the instructions indicated what pieces to go together, but the pieces weren't numbered on the sprues. So I'm not a big rig guy. This is one of the first big rigs that I've built probably 30 years or 40 years. So I don't know what all of these parts are, and a lot of the parts on the sprues looked awfully similar to me. All you got in the instruction book was just a line drawing and some indications of sort of where things connected together. And I guess that's what you get for an older kit. This was a re-release of a kit, probably from the mid to late 80s, I would suspect. So things were not as they are today. Now, the rims themselves fit okay inside the tires. We'll go back and take a look at this. They're not perfect by any means. They're actually just a shade small for going inside the tires. So I really did have a difficult time getting them to fit inside. You do notice a lot of the missing details on here. The tubing for the air brakes would be a great add if somebody wanted to go ahead and super detail this kit. It's just not for me. A closer look at this particular fuel tank. This is on the passenger side. You can still see in here the seam where the two halves met together. What I tried to do is sand that down. I glued it together, tried to sand it down, and then repaint it with all-clad chrome. And you can see that didn't turn out bad, but it didn't turn out great. You can still see where the seam was. And again, that I will chalk up partly to user error. I could have taken more time and done a better job of sanding that than I actually did. And that might have taken care of more of that seam. Another thing that gave me trouble are these stacks and their connections. That's a very tight connection onto the engine, and it just didn't seem to want to fit. You can kind of see on here, there's a gap in here. Now, we would never have that gap in real life, right? But we do in this kit, and I think that's just a matter of things just not quite lining up. Again, not sure if it's user error or if it's the design of the kit. Anyway, this was an experience building this kit. It's not something that I'm used to doing. It's not something that I feel like I need to do again by any means. But it was an experience to build something bigger and a little bit different, and just to try my hand at something new. So hope you all liked the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, give me a subscribe, and hit that bell to get notifications of when I post new content. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.